Hey everybody, in this video we are going to talk about how to derive the quadratic formula. So if you start with the equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, you can solve for x to derive the quadratic formula. Okay, now in order to do that, what we're going to do is complete the square. In order to complete the square, the lead coefficient has to be 1, but currently it's a. So what we need to do is divide every term by a. Okay, so that gives us x squared plus b over a times x plus c over a equals 0. Now we have a lead coefficient of 1, so we can now complete the square. But in order to complete the square, we need to move this term over here and make room for a new c term. So we have x squared plus b over a x and a new c equals, and c over a moves to the other side and becomes negative c over a, and then blank to match this blank. Okay, so now we find the new c. So in order to find c, what we do is take that b term, which is b over a, and divide it by 2 and square it. Okay, now when you divide a fraction by 2, what you're really doing is doubling the denominator. So it's b over 2a squared. Okay, and b over 2a squared is b squared over 4a squared. So we square the numerator and we square the denominator. So c is plus b squared over 4a squared. And we put that on both sides, plus b squared over 4a squared. Okay, so we have completed the square. The next thing we need to do is factor this left side. Now, when you complete the square, what you get here when you do b divided by 2a, that helps you factor. So we have x plus b over 2a squared. That is our factored form. On the right side, we need to add these two fractions. Okay, so we have equals, and then in order to add these fractions, I need a common denominator. So I'm going to have to multiply the numerator and denominator here by 4a in order to combine these fractions. So it's going to be negative 4ac over 4a squared plus b squared over 4a squared. So let's simplify that. We have negative 4ac plus b squared all over 4a squared, and that equals x plus b over 2a squared. Okay, now next we will take a square root. So we'll solve this by the square root method. And when you do a square root, you automatically get two solutions, a plus and minus. So we're doing the square root of the numerator and the denominator. Okay, so we have x plus b over 2a, squared and square root cancel. X plus b over 2a. Okay, equals plus or minus. Now in the numerator, we can't really take the square root of all that, but I want to write it with the positive term first. So we have the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over the square root of the denominator. The square root of 4a squared is 2a. Next, to get b by itself, to get x by itself, I'm going to move b over 2a to the other side. So we get x equals negative b over 2a plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And since these two terms here have the same denominator, I can combine them into a single fraction. So I have x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That is the quadratic formula, and this is how we can derive it by solving for x.